Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a region known as Pennsylvania Dutch Country, Wendy and her family experienced a series of unexplained phenomena in their row home throughout the 1990s until June 2001. From the outside, the house appeared ordinary, but within its walls, multiple family members and independent witnesses reported numerous inexplicable events. While Wendy herself acknowledged uncertainty about the nature of these occurrences, whether they were spirits, residual energy, or something else entirely, the documented experiences suggest a pattern of sustained paranormal activity verified by multiple sources. The first startling incident occurred when Wendy and her brother were children. One night, seeking refuge from a mouse she'd spotted in her own room, Wendy decided to sleep on a cot in her brother's bedroom at the back of the house. As her siblings lay in darkness and talking before sleep, a strange phenomena manifested. The corner of the room suddenly illuminated with blue light, accompanied by a distinct static electrical sound. Their parents, summoned by their frightened children, attempted to dismiss the incident as static electricity, but the explanation fell flat. The corner had been completely empty. The weather was calm with no storms, and there was nothing that could have generated such a dramatic light display. The third floor of the house, with its two connected rooms, became a focal point for paranormal activity. The front room served as a storage space, while the back room was used as a bedroom by different family members over the years. A door between the rooms, secured with a hook and eye latch, the kind with a metal piece that slides underneath to secure it, exhibited particularly unsettling behaviour. While using one of the rooms as her bedroom, Wendy experienced multiple instances of violent pulling from the other side of the door, as if someone or something was attempting to force it open. Her mother's suggestion that wind was responsible seemed implausible, given that both the windows and storm windows were sealed against the winter cold, and the force of the pulling far exceeded what any draft could generate. Later, when Wendy's sisters occupied the room, they witnessed an even more dramatic occurrence, the latch unfastening itself before their eyes as the door swung open. This incident was corroborated by one of their sister's friends, who was present at the time, lending credibility to the experience and ruling out the possibility of shared family delusion. During Wendy's senior year of high school, when she would sometimes skip classes and remain home alone, another peculiar pattern emerged. Although she was the only one ever present in the house on these occasions, she would discover the bathroom faucet running repeatedly. Each time she would shut it off and return to her room, but upon the next bathroom visit, the water would inexplicably be running again. This pattern would repeat throughout the day with no possible explanation for who or what was turning on the tap. These apparent spectral occupants in the house seemed to favour certain family members, at times revealing themselves. Wendy's father experienced regular nighttime visits from a male figure who would appear at the foot of his bed or by the window. Though he would sometimes wake his wife during these encounters, she was never able to see the mysterious visitor. The figure would often beckon to Wendy's father before turning and walking out of the room. He also reported encounters with an orb of light that would materialize in the corner of the bedroom. This luminous sphere would rush towards him and veer away at the last moment, leaving him feeling a distinct breeze across his face as it passed. Wendy's youngest sister had her own similar frightening encounter on the third floor. One night, she woke to find a dark figure standing at the top of the stairs, which opened directly into her room. The experience was made more terrifying by a temporary paralysis. She found herself unable to move until the figure gradually faded away. She initially feared an intruder had broken in, but the figure's supernatural disappearance proved otherwise. Another sister, despite an unusual experience she'd had with the third floor door, maintained her skepticism until a chilling incident occurred while she was alone in the house with their sleeping brother. While in the bathroom preparing for work, she heard mysterious moaning sounds emanating from the bottom of the stairs. Though she initially suspected their dog might be responsible, investigation revealed no source for the sounds, which would cease when she looked, but resume as soon as she returned to the bathroom. The experience was particularly unnerving given that her brother was asleep behind a closed door with a fan running, ruling him out as the source of the sounds. She found herself so frightened that she locked the bathroom door, trapped by her fear of the unsettling noises. Objects in the house also seemed to have a mind of their own, regularly vanishing without explanation. Wendy recalled dropping a piece of paper only to find it completely gone despite thorough searching. This pattern of disappearing items became so common that she began verbally demanding their return. Remarkably, the items would often reappear within minutes, precisely where they had originally been placed, as if responding to her commands. The third floor continued to be a hotspot for strange occurrences. During her time sleeping there, Wendy once awoke to find peculiar scratches covering the left side of her body, the side that had been facing up as she slept on her right side. As a bass player in her school's jazz band, she had no fingernails that could have caused such marks, and attempts to recreate the scratches proved futile. In the same room, she also reported hearing what sounded like one side of a telephone conversation, despite there being no phone installed upstairs and all windows being sealed against the winter's cold. The arrival of Wendy's nephew brought a new dimension to the house's mysteries. By sharing her brother's old bedroom with her sister, following Wendy's parents' divorce and her father's departure, the young boy exhibited behaviour suggesting he could perceive things others couldn't. One evening after his bath, while sitting on the bed being dressed by his sister, he began giggling and counting fingers that only he could see. When asked what he was counting, he matter-of-factly replied, "Fingers," though no one else was present in the house at the time. Perhaps most striking was the nephew's apparent interaction with his deceased grandmother, whom the family had called Nanny. Having never seen a picture of her or met her in life, as she had passed away before his birth, the boy nevertheless identified her by her name, telling his mother one day in the living room, "You can go to bed now, Nanny," and pointing to her apparent location near the video shelf. When his mother attempted to clarify if he meant Nana, their other grandmother, or Grammy, what he called Wendy's mother, he insisted it was Nanny. The final striking incident involved Wendy's mother, who had maintained a degree of skepticism throughout the years. Alone in the house one day, she witnessed a cluster of helium balloons, originally in the kitchen, inexplicably relocate to the back bedroom upstairs. The balloons would have had to navigate a complex path through the house, travelling through the living room, making what amounted to a U-turn, ducking to pass through the doorway around the wall separating the living room and hallway, and ascending to the stairs, and then ducking again to pass through the bedroom doorway, as the hallway ceiling was much higher. The logistics of this journey defied a reasonable probability, and even Wendy's typically sceptical mother had to admit the strangeness of the occurrence. What made these experiences particularly compelling was that many of them only came to light years later, when family members began sharing their stories after moving out. The independent nature of these experiences, often occurring when individuals were alone or in small groups, seemed to rule out the possibility of mass hysteria or shared hallucination. Each family member had their own private encounters with the unexplained, only discovering years later that others had experienced similar phenomena. By the time Wendy recounted these events in June 2001, her mother had recently moved out of the house. The legacy of unexplained occurrences left Wendy contemplating reaching out to the new tenants to inquire about any similar experiences they might have had, suggesting that perhaps the phenomena were tied to the property itself rather than any particular occupants. While the true nature of these events remain uncertain, the consistent pattern of experiences across different family members and independent witnesses suggested that something truly not of this world had made this ordinary Lancaster Row house its domain.